Welcome back in. It's Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. I'm your host, Kevin Walsh. We are live with you on a Friday night on SportsGrid with a lot to get to. Tomorrow, we kick off the NFL playoffs. So tonight, we are going to get you some futures heading into the postseason. We'll kind of re-rack some of our preseason stuff, but get you the additions, which is obviously more important as those preseason numbers are not available, although one of them is actually better now if you still like it. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I will have Dave Sharapan, Joe Lisi stop by. We're going to have Joe Madden get in the mix, as well as Coach James Young, as we get set for tonight's action here. Before we open it up, some breaking news in the coaching circle, college and pro, starting with the Crimson Tide. The Alabama now has found their head coach in Kalen DeBoer. Washington, the Huskies head man who went to the national championship game against Michigan. It is incredible how quickly these things can turn. Saban retiring just a couple of days ago, and Alabama makes a splash hire. Kalen DeBoer was only with Washington for 2 seasons. The most wins for any coach in their first 2 years at a new program. That's what Kalen DeBoer did at Washington, going to a national championship game. You can't look past this hire. You knew Alabama was going to get a great guy, whether it was going to be Dan Lanning, Mike Norvell, who were also in the hunt early doors as far as some of those big names. But I think there's a real argument to be made that Alabama did as well as they possibly could here, attempting to replace what many believe is the greatest coach of all time. The Crimson Tide were hanging around a 6-1 price, depending on where you look, to win the national championship prior to the Saban news. Now sit at 10-1. That move came when Saban retired. No positive or negative movement based on the DeBoer news that has come in. We'll bring our radio audience into the fold here. Appreciate all those tuned in on SportsGrid across the network, including Sirius XM Channel 159. Kevin Walsh with you here on this Friday night. In the NFL, from Saban to DeBoer, from Belichick to Mayo, Gerard Mayo steps up now with the succession plan for the New England Patriots. As Gerard Mayo was always set to be the guy to take over for Bill Belichick, and there's a lot of unknowns with Mayo as to whether or not this is going to work. I think the New England Patriots sticking to what they know is not all that surprising. I have to wonder, though, if in that room they wish this wasn't the plan. Mike Vrabel still fits that Patriots DNA, a caliber of a head coach that probably shouldn't be on the market, but is, due to Tennessee really being lost for a couple of seasons now up top, and that continuing with letting Vrabel go. But Gerard Mayo, now at 37, the youngest head coach in the National Football League. Certainly quite a shift from Bill Belichick, the greatest coach for a lot of people in the history of the NFL, who is still hoping to continue his time as a head coach. Some links early to Washington we've heard out there, and wondering if any of these playoff teams could potentially factor into the Bill Belichick race. All stuff that we will keep our eyes on. Let's open it up here, though, on a Friday night. And we'll start actually with last night, just because it was a noteworthy note for Milwaukee, winning 135-102 against the Boston Celtics. The Bucks were favored in this game. They ended up having this game go well under due to only the 102 number that Boston was able to reach. And this was domination from the word go. And for Milwaukee, this isn't the type of game that's going to move a title price, but it's felt like the type of win they needed. The Bucks have a very good record, but it doesn't feel like there's many early believers on them. Boston feels like they've created that separation, and it's separation that you'll see in the market. Under 3-1 for Boston, 4-1 or longer for any other team in the league. And look, I mean, it's 11-1 on the Clippers as the short price there. So there's a big gap right now between Boston and the rest of the market. Pardon me. And you see that play out here with this Boston number. But again, that's why that Bucks win helps last night. When the Celtics have a step-up spot and when they answer the bell, it's kind of confirmation bias. The Bucks putting a little bit of a damper on that. We'll go to tonight's NBA slate next year, get an idea of what is on board. There's a lot of good opportunities, I think, for us to be involved in with here. Quite like this slate, the South Beach battle with Miami bringing Orlando into the fold. Paolo Banchero having a really heavy workload now in the absence of Franz Wagner is a bit tempting here. Memphis goes again without Ja Morant. We'll have Jaren Jackson Jr. back in the lineup. Philly playing at home for just the second time this season, minus Joel Embiid, but the 10th time overall. A very short number tonight against the Sacramento Kings. I think that's an important game for us to dive into. The Indiana Pacers. And what do we do with these totals? Without Tyrese Halliburton, we'll dive into that a little bit. Late night here, the Pels and Denver. San Antonio favored, which is not something we often see. Victor Wembanyama coming off of the first triple-double of his young career in only about 25 minutes against the Detroit Pistons. What does he have for an encore performance? Minnesota laying 16. The Portland Trailblazers coming off of a 62-point loss at the hands of the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll see how the Warriors look in the Windy City against the Chicago Bulls. But as we said, the NFL tonight, very worthy of our attention because we're going to be set up tomorrow. We're going to be live all weekend here on SportsGrid with Pro Football Today. Myself, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Lisi, who again will be stopping by here. Your bracket, if you will, as we said, it's always going to reseed on the AFC side of things. A lot of weather concerns. Not in Houston. That's indoors against the Cleveland Browns. But Kansas City apparently dangerously cold. Nobody should be outside. Instead, it's going to be a packed NFL stadium as the Chiefs, as a 4.5-point favorite, will look to advance against the Miami Dolphins. And then a lot of snow in Buffalo, a lot of wind in Buffalo, and that line plummeting. At last look, I believe 34.5 is the over-under in Bill Steelers. Eagles-Bucks here. This is the Monday night game. We'll, of course, be live for a portion of that with you here as well. And then we go indoors, Dallas, Green Bay, the Rams, and the Lions. And that, to me, is an important distinction. And, again, something we'll get into a little bit here tonight when we try and find some of the future value for you. The indoor nature of the NFC and the not just outdoor nature, but extreme nature of the AFC and how that can impact some of the playoff-long markets that are out there and available, passing yard leaders, receiving yard leaders, and highest-scoring teams as well. Just getting a chance here to look at the 6 games that are this weekend right now and how some of these numbers are starting to set up here. This Buffalo number is dropping a little bit. We'll see how the Eagles number reacts due to nothing but negative news. A.J. Brown not practicing, Hurts not throwing. We'll see how that number again develops throughout this weekend here. The Super Bowl odds are out and available, of course, and I do apologize. The Niners are plus 220, Baltimore plus 320, Buffalo here at 650, and then Dallas, the only other team under 10-1 at plus 750. Those are seeds 1 and 2 within their conference, and this has been a consistent thing that I've mentioned here. You know I'm an Eagles fan, but it doesn't really matter when we're doing this. The Eagles' gap between Detroit, to me, is really felt unjustifiable. These teams are laying the same exact number this weekend. If Philly and Detroit met in round 2, it, of course, would be in Detroit, and the Lions would be favorites in the game. So I struggle to see the argument there. Let's get a quick pick quickly on the board here before we hit this break. Taking a chance with DePaul, plus 19.5. Villanova is not that good. They already played DePaul. I know they beat them by 36, but they laid 10.5 in the game. Home court advantage is not worth 9 points. We're going to take a chance on the Blue Demons. We'll be right back here on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. And we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong directions? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid. Back right here, it's Game Time Decisions on a Friday night. Kevin Walsh with you here on SportsGrid. We're going to go through tonight's card. We mentioned the DePaul bet. Taking a chance here on DePaul at plus 19.5. They played Villanova. They did lose by 36. I get it, but it was a 10.5 point line. Home court advantage is not worth 9. I know there's some wonder if Justin Moore could come back. I think this is a very overinflated line against a Nova team that I'm not totally sold on. Their Big East results outside of Nova, a 2-point overtime win, a 1-point win in regulation, and then a 10-point loss to St. John's. I get it, it's Xavier, it's Creighton, it's solid teams they're playing. The Johnnies are good. But I don't think Villanova laying 19.5 is justifiable. This is only about 3 points less than what UConn laid to DePaul. UConn is certainly 3 points better than what we've seen from Villanova this season, so I think that number is a little light. In the NBA tonight, I have 6 picks here, including a money line, and a side in general is a bit rare for myself. But I thought the Sixers were worth a piece here. I played it at minus 118. You can do probably a little bit better if you shop around right now. The number is no higher than minus 120. If you look at Philadelphia, I know Joel Embiid is out, but this is a team that, and look, they've struggled without Embiid. 2-7 right now without him. I get it. I'm probably kind of going against the grain a little. For me, they've only played once at home without him. And yes, again, it was against Utah, 5.5 point favorite. They lost outright, but I think Philly at home at a pick 'em price is still worth it for me. Sacramento, I've not found overly impressive throughout this season. I know they sit 23-14, which is only one more loss than Philadelphia, but I think they've beaten up on a lot of the bad teams here. And I think Philly, who's on a 3-game losing streak, is good enough to stop that skid, which includes 2 consecutive losses in home games against the Knicks. They were smashed. And again, that game against the Utah Jazz. But that game against the Utah Jazz was the second leg of a back-to-back. It's why Joel Embiid was out. So I think getting this line here in a round pick, you got to understand the Sixers now on this 3-game losing streak, it's their longest of the year. They were prior 3-0 when they had lost 2 in a row, preventing a 3-game losing streak. So it happens, but now I think you're seeing a little bit of value here tonight on Philadelphia at around minus 118. You can get some probably minus 115 as high again as minus 120. And then there's 2 totals I'm going to play. On my off day, I took a chance on an over in Pacers Wizards. at, I believe, 251.5, give or take. And it was nowhere close. Dead loser, lost from the word go, bad pick. But the rationale has put me in a position that I have to come back here again tonight against Atlanta. The number against the Pacers and the Wizards was about 10 points lower than what it was when Tyrese Halliburton was around. And I know how important Tyrese is to the Pacers. He's their MVP. But is there really a player in this league worth 10 points to a total? I have my doubts on that. And here's the other thing. The Pacers, while their offense is going to take a hit, it's not like their defense is all of a sudden going to get much better. A big part of the reason that game went well under last night is because the Washington Wizards are dreadful. Despite how fast they play, they are still a bottom 5 offense in this league. The Hawks are 6th in offensive rating. So to get this same type of discount here, I have to make a play on the over in Hawks Pacers. I do love the over tonight as well in the game between Minnesota and Portland. So this is a full team bounce back spot on the Portland Trailblazers. I know they're bad. I know they were awful in their game against against Oklahoma City, 62-point loss, and it's the second leg of the back-to-back against the best defense in basketball, who is 14-2. All of that is why I am not betting Portland plus 16.5. But the Blazers have now failed to score 85 points in consecutive games. 84 against the Knicks, 77 against the Thunder. Those two make up 2 of the 5 times that has happened this season. The Spurs did it twice, the Hornets did it once. The Spurs each time scored 113 plus in the game after going underneath 85. The Hornets followed it up with a 99-point performance, so again, awful, but in the next game went to 113. So Portland obviously didn't bounce back from the Knicks game, but you basically have something that now, again, it's only happened 5 times all year long. The Blazers have done it in consecutive games. Law of averages for me says tonight they can score 110, no matter how good Minnesota is. Well, if I get 110 from Portland on a 221, the Blazers are going to have to win this game for this game to go under the number. And I think I can get there with Minnesota wanting to beat up on this team. And again, yes, there's a path to defeat where the Timberwolves keep this team again under 100. I think in today's NBA, with enough pace and talent and athleticism, I think that's a difficult thing to do. I don't think we're going to see that happen. I think Portland wakes it up, and I think Minnesota enjoys playing this defense that is slipping right now for the Blazers. And then I've got 3 props on the board. One of these may look a little familiar because we talked about it but didn't bet it when the Grizzlies played the Mavericks, which was Desmond Bane under 11.5 rebounds plus assists. The reason we didn't bet it is Jaren Jackson Jr. was out, which was good because the number went over. But when Bane plays without Ja, 26 games this season, 19 of them he has gone under 11.5 rebounds plus assists. And that's all of those games were with Jaren Jackson Jr. in the lineup. That's a 73% hit rate. That is worth playing here tonight on Desmond Bane with Triple J back in the lineup for their game against the LA Clippers. Banchero, over 1.5 made threes. Paolo has been shooting a lot more from beyond the arc recently, and this was even a little bit before the Franz absence, but if you look over his last 8 games, he is averaging 6.5 attempts from beyond the arc per game. He's taken at least 4 attempts in 8 consecutive games. In games where Paolo shoots at least 4 threes, in 15 of the 21 games, he has made 2 or more, which is a ridiculous hit rate. Ridiculous hit rate. If you look, he has, again, shot at least 4 in 8 consecutive, and during this streak, at no times has he failed to miss this prop in back-to-back games. He is coming off of a loss. Also, Paolo has attempted 6+ threes 9 times this year and has made at least 2 in 8 of the 9. And I just said during this run, he's averaging over 6 attempts per game. So against Miami, again, pardon me, against Miami and Bam Adebayo and their great interior defense, they're going to push Paolo on the exterior, which he's enjoyed recently, seeing that uptick in volume. Give me Paolo over the 1.5 made threes. And then lastly, DeMar DeRozan, 20-plus points. So this number I took it down from 20.5 to 20 because DeMar's played 20 games this year with Zach LaVine. He is 20 plus in 11 out of the 20 games. So now we're getting a better than 50% hit rate. He has landed exactly 23 times. So that makes it worth it. But I bring LaVine in because it is important that, we kind of acknowledge that the DeMar workload is changing. But DeMar's issue last game was his efficiency. 19 field goal attempts, awful. 5 of 19 from the field, that is 26.3%. This season, when DeMar shoots under 40%, he has scored 20 or more in 7 of 9 games. With LaVine in the lineup, it's 3 out of 4. So I'm not worried about LaVine. I think that's the big reason we're getting this discount here tonight on DeMar DeRozan for 20-plus points. So just to recap tonight's card for you in the NBA, 6 picks. DeMar DeRozan, 20-plus points. Paolo Banchero, 2-plus made threes. Desmond Bane, under 11.5 rebounds plus assists. Sixers money line, I played it at minus 118. Hawks Pacers, over 251.5. And Timberwolves Blazers, over 221. We are going to be running up against the break here. When we come back, Coach James Young's going to join us for about a half hour. We'll see if there's anything he's interested in for the college game tonight. Maybe if there's anything catching his eye for the college this weekend. And then dive into a plentiful slate of NBA action for you right here on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions on a Friday night. We'll be right back.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. And we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco, minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid. Back right here on SportsGrid, now joined by Coach James Young on Game Time Decisions. JY, how you feeling? It's not the busiest Friday night we've had, but still plenty of options out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Friday night. You know what it is, Kate. It's a light board in college basketball because there's so many games tomorrow. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point. But intriguing matchups in the NBA, Miami, Orlando. You know, how bad is Portland going to be tonight? Which is really bad, possibly. So there are some intriguing things, but really, Kevin, I'm so excited about this. Honestly, this college basketball board tomorrow. Once you get to Saturdays in January, that's when things get loaded in the college basketball with a lot of great matchups.
I don't mind, Jay. We can look ahead at a couple spots that you're interested in if you want. But as far as tonight goes, the big game in the Big Ten is Iowa-Nebraska. And Nebraska's got a pretty good chance to be ranked when the next poll comes out. But maybe Iowa has something to say about that tonight at home. What are you looking for here in this game?
Well, I'm looking at a couple of things. Number one, Iowa is very good at home. Fran McCaffrey's team's always been good home teams. You know, if you look at a team like Nebraska, they've typically struggled on the road. They're 4-10 against the spread the last 14 games on the road. But here's where I look at it as a coach, too. Team gets a huge win, beating Purdue their last game. Doesn't it seem like this could be a letdown spot for Nebraska, winning at home, double digits, shut down Zach Edey? Now you got to go on the road 2-3 days later. As a coach, sometimes it's hard to get those kids up the next game. And because of that, and they're going on the road, I'm going to lay the points with the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah, it's trying to sell high, right, JY? I think the interesting thing, you know, at what point do you stop buying, though, right? Like, at what point, JY, for you, is the number too much, or do you just prefer the spot so much that it's worth it? I think that's the interesting thing, because to me, the world where this is a good Iowa spot, I agree, but it is a big number to be laying for a team that's 1-3 right now in Big Ten play.
Yeah, it is. And I also watched them play against Rutgers a couple of weeks, I think it was last weekend at home, and scored a ton of points. And they're also shooting the ball better from three, Kevin. I think that's the thing with the Iowa team. Fran McCaffrey's team's always been a good three-point shooting team. They weren't earlier this year. They're starting to be better. So as much as it is about Iowa at home, it's just as much of, I just think this is a tough spot for a Nebraska team to beat the number one team in the country and then go back and play another game 3 days later. Not a lot of time to prepare here. So I'm gonna take a chance on the Iowa team that I think may not be great, but Kevin, I think this speaks to college basketball. A lot of time, I'm starting to get nervous taking anybody on the road because I think there's so much parity, and it's just something that you got to be wary of when you make your bets. Is home teams just are playing well now in college basketball, whether they're ranked or unranked.
But tell me this, though, Jay. Well, for a team like Purdue now who has 2 losses on the road in Big Ten play, do you see that as, okay, see, I don't believe in this team, or that's just more the same with what's happening with everybody right now in college?
I think a couple of things. One, Kevin, I think it speaks to the parity of college basketball, where you have so many teams that can knock each other off at any night. But here's the thing I've always said to people about Purdue, and anybody else that listen to me on this network. Guard play will dictate if you can win a national championship. You hear what I'm saying? Like guard play. I know Zach Edey was great, right? Oscar Tshiebwe was great. Luka Garza was great. Kofi Coburn was great. I mean, I can start listing off great big men in the past that their teams have done nothing in the tournament because at the end of the day, they let you play a bit more inside. They pack it in, and you got to score the ball from deep. So when I'm looking at a team like Purdue, as much as Zach Edey maybe didn't score the ball well, and I get it, I absolutely get he did not score the ball well. I think it was out to 15-7 in his matchup last game. I have to look at some things like, well, with Zach Edey, it's more about what happens on the perimeter. Because if you're knocking out perimeter jumpers, right, and you got guys that can knock down shots, it opens up the floor. So to me, guys like Gloria and obviously like a guy like Smith, they got to shoot the ball well from three. And Jones, if they can't, they're still not going to make a run.
I think for me, and it's all going to depend, but the Big Ten is going to do this thing again, though, where they're able to kind of pick off the top team a couple times, and then the whole Big Ten is going to get in, and then we'll be at the round of, we'll be at the Sweet 16, and one of them will be left. All the rest of them will falling apart. I really like the SEC this season. I really like what I've seen. Ken Palm right now has 3 teams in the top 8, and none of them are Kentucky, who checks in at 16. I really like this conference this year. I'm not a believer in Tennessee one bit. I think they're completely fraudulent. Auburn all the way up to 4, and Alabama, look, 5 losses, but look at who the losses were against. There's a reason why. When you look, there's hardly any teams, Coach, that have 4 losses inside the top 15. They have 5. That's because the losses are Purdue and Arizona. They will get a couple of big wins in SEC play, Alabama, and they're going to be dangerous come tournament time.
They are going to be dangerous, and I want to tell you right now, people can listen up. Think about all the teams that got picked off in the top 10, top 15 on the road. Watch out for Georgia to maybe most likely pick off Tennessee tomorrow. Tennessee's not as good as people think. But if you think about what Chris Beard has done in Ole Miss, you just talked about Cal. We've talked about the play of Bradshaw and Wagner starting to play better. I even look at a team like Florida, even though they're 0-2 on the SEC at 10-5, and don't sleep on Muss. Don't sleep on Arkansas. They'll start to figure it out. Obviously, Mark being the transfer or coming in there, getting you about 17 points a game. Going into this year, I was like, Big 12, best league in college basketball, not even close. I don't know, Kevin. Like, the SEC is like right there and maybe past them. It'll be interesting to see those 2 heavyweights line up in the NCAA tournament because I think by far, Big 12, SEC, best 2 basketball conferences right now this year.
Yeah, and again, we'll continue to kind of fly through all this stuff. What I want to do, JY, forgive me for going a little out of order, but I know you're on Miami tonight. Hero out. I don't know if that is something that you were expecting and how much confidence perhaps does that, if at all, change your breakdown on this team. They're still favored in the basketball game, currently laying 2 against Orlando.
I think this is a situation where I think Orlando's starting to slowly come back to the pack. I know they've been up and down a little bit, but, I just believe that this Miami team, they'll find a way. They already have a win against Orlando. I think they won by 10 on the road earlier this season. So I do like this spot for a Miami Heat team. I think that's going to be better. And they're a team that they come out of blocks. I know Butler's out. I know Healer's out. I know Lowry's out. I get it. There's all these guys out. But if there's a guy that's going to take an undermanned team and find a way to win, it's Spo. Because you look at the other side, you look at that Wendell Carter Jr. is out, Franz Wagner's out. What they're going to do in Miami is they're going to try and take away Paulo. They're going to try and not take the head off the snake. I know you said a 3-point shot. I think that's something you may give him tonight because they're not going to let him post up and drive the ball to the basket. So I do like Miami in this spot at home, only because they're home, to be honest, with these guys out.
Tell me, J.Y., what have you made of Paolo in his last couple of games here? Obviously, the workload elevating now in the absence of Franz Wagner on the year, averaging 23, 7, and 5. How do you feel about him in his sophomore season? Because Orlando's one of those teams, you look at the record, 21 and 16, it's the same as Miami. They're going to be in the playoff play-in type of conversation here. What have you made of him in his sophomore season?
Well, I think he's played relatively well. The thing I like about the Fat K number is to say his 3-point shooting percentage is up and is up to 38% this year compared to last year. So that's the thing, and that's why I think your bet tonight in regard to him 3-point shots, it could be a play because he's shot the ball better from 3. He shot the ball better overall. Now, foul shooting is fine. His assists are up. His turnovers are up a little bit, but that's because of the usage rate. So, to me, Paulo's been good. It'll be interesting, folks, because I think the last spot of the All-Star team in the East is going to come down to Randall and Paulo. And you can make case for both of them. I think Brunson's going to get it for the Knicks. I don't know if they get 2. Paulo versus Randall is going to be an interesting take, and I think it's going to be the last spot in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, now I got to sit down and do it. I'll do it during the break. Now I got to see what's what out there in the East. All right. Quickly, JY, give me another one of your NBA picks tonight. JY's going to be here with us in the next segment, but let's put another one on the board. What do you like?
I'm going to go Wemby. Double-double. I think he's starting to play well. He had a triple-double and get 25 minutes. I mean, Kate, you and I could mess around and get a triple-double versus, the Pistons, but that's a story for another day. I think Wemby's starting to play well. Minus 120 is a good number for a guy that's got 2 straight games, averaging a double-double this year. Didn't play a ton last game. Maybe the usage rate goes up. Points will be there. It's all about the rebounds.
All right. I'll say this on Wemby. He's been continuing to come on. And I don't know how much of it is the ankle injury. It is a real shame, though, that he is kind of just on this horrendous basketball team that made 0 attempt to improve that roster off-season-wise. And I know it's like big picture, it's going to be good, but it's just such losing basketball they play in San Antonio. I mean, they have 6 wins. They're dreadful.
Real quick,
They're a dreadful basketball team.
And really quick, Kevin, if I'm San Antonio with that front line, make a move. Trade Keldon Johnson. Go move him. Get something back because you can't play Collins, him, Sorry, you can't play the 4 of them. One of them's got to go. Keldon can get you the most back besides Wemby.
I don't know. Pop might just trade Wemby. JY sticking around here. We'll continue to break down the NBA.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6th and the 7th seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about 2 franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Back with you here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Coach James Young. We're diving into, and don't worry, we'll get out of it quickly, but some BATR territory of list the All-Stars in the Eastern Conference. And takeaway one, All-Star-wise, the East is a little soft, it looks like, on the surface, I would say. The Celtics could send multiple guys just based on their record. Brooklyn has no one. The Knicks maybe send two. The Sixers will send two with Embiid and Maxey. Toronto could send Scotty. The Bulls are a mess. The Cavs should send Mitchell. The Pistons. The Pacers will send Halliburton. Milwaukee will send Giannis. I don't think Dame makes it. Trey should go. Hornets, nothing. Maybe Bam. Paolo. Washington's a complete disaster. Like, Jay, I think Randall and Paolo and Bam. I don't know if I'm missing guys here, but I wrote 12, and this we can kind of carry off air a little bit. To be honest, I don't want to bog people down with this too much, but I think I have room for all of these guys, unless I'm missing just very obvious names.
Well, the big thing off the bat is, ready? How many Celtics get on? Because you're going to Tatum, Brown, yes. Does Porzingis get there? Now you're at 3.
Does Brown get there? Does Jalen is
23.1? I mean, people have made the case that Derek White should get on.
But that's my problem.
Go ahead.
So here's my problem, right? Jalen Brown qualifies as an all-star more than Derek White does, but I'm not sure if Jalen Brown has been the second or third best Boston Celtic this year. So I don't know if they're going to give it to Kristaps or Derek White, but they feel more deserving right now probably than JB.
Mm-hmm. I think that's where you start. Is it 2 Celtics? Is it 3? Or are they going to go crazy and give them 4? It shouldn't be 4. It's going to be 3. So then you start going down the line, right? If there's 3, what do you send both Dame and Giannis?
I don't think Dame goes.
I don't think Dame goes. So all right, we're at 4, right? You said the 2 Philadelphia guys. You're at 6. Halliburton is 7. Mitchell is 8. If you take Brunson and Randall, that's 10. And there you got Miami. So you got Bam. You got Paulo. You got Trey Young. You got Scotty Barnes. So, see, this is where it starts to get tricky here because I think Scotty Barnes' three-point shooting has gotten him in his overall play. Has gotten him up there, especially since Siakam traded before the deadline or before All-Star weekend.
Yeah.
So that makes that one. So, it's going to start with Boston, and then it's going to trickle its way down. And I think that's why the thing is going to be interesting is Randall versus, Brunson. Randall versus Paulo. Paulo versus Bam. You got a lot of intriguing ways that these guys are all going to be connected come All-Star weekend when selecting in the East.
All right, Jay, let's talk about one of those guys, Trey Young, tonight in an interesting matchup against a Halliburton-less Indiana Pacers. This Hawks team, though, certainly could use a win. What are you looking for in this game?
Kevin, the amazing thing is as much as Indiana scores and gives up, they give up the 6th least assists per game. Trey's number is at 11.5 assists. He's only averaging 7 assists per game versus Indiana, and it's gone under 5 straight games. So it lines up that you think because of the style of play, it leads to over for assists. I think it's too high. Give me under 11.5 assists for Trey Young.
All right, I'm not mad at that. I think that game goes over the 251.5, JY, because I need one final crack at getting what I think is a discounted total tonight in the absence of Tyrese Halliburton. The Rockets are in Detroit here. I know you like this Houston team this season. Going up against a 3-35 basketball team, I'm assuming you like them tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alfred Şengün. I was trying to find where I was going to go, and I'm going to go over 23.5 points. Over 6 of his last 10 games, 26 points in 27 minutes last matchup. As much as Jalen Duren is pretty good rebounding and scoring, he's terrible defensively guarding. And Şengün can beat you in a lot of different ways on the boards, in the pinch post, in the low post, step outside. Alfred Şengün over 23.5 points, and I'm going to just take Houston minus the points. I mean, why not? Like, Detroit just looks like a hot mess. And I'm honestly shocked, Kevin, how bad they are, because I came in this network and said, oh, Monty Williams, right? Cunningham's back. During full year. Bogdanovich. Oh, this team's going to be competing for, a playing spot. This team's competing for ping pong balls. 335, they're terrible. Give me the Rockets on the road. Emil Udoka, sneaky good job, and if he can keep this team over 500, he should be a candidate, if they can get into the top 6, for NBA Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I think the tough thing for me with the Rockets in this spot is they're still a 3-12 straight-up team on the road, but I think this is only the second time they've been favored on the road, right? So it's a rare spot, and I think they covered that other instance. I'll just say on Detroit, rewind the tape, the Suns fire Monty, and everyone went, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Despite the fact we bashed Monty the whole series, right, against the Clippers and against Denver, people are like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Well, all of a sudden now there's not 6 All-Stars running around, and these are the results that you get here. JY, what about Domantas Sabonis? He's been playing great hoop tonight in Philadelphia. No Joel Embiid.
Well, I think that's the key thing. No Joel Embiid, over 43 points, rebounds, and assists, averaging 41.1 during the season, but 46.3 in the last 10. 5 of the last 7 he's gone over. He's going to get Paul Reed in major foul trouble tonight. Sabonis over 43.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think that's going to be a play in which, and I think it's going to be a really good matchup. And I know you talked about it. I wouldn't say about Philadelphia not winning this game. Like, I think Philadelphia can do it. I think it's going to be competitive. This is not going to be a blowout. I think it's close. That means big minutes for Sabonis, heavy workload, over 43.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah, I'm on the Sixers money line in this game. I think at home, getting them at that price is worth it there. Again, Sacramento's not blown me away this season. I know there's a couple of money lines for you tonight, JY. We talked about the Heat money line. What is the other Eastern Conference team you're backing in that way?
Honestly, it's the Bulls. Like, if you're looking at Golden State, it's lost 6 of their last 8 games. Now they're coming out to trading everybody, but Steph, which means Draymond, they're trying to trade you too. The Bulls have secretly played better. They had a little bit of a stretch without Levine and obviously without Big Voos. They brought them back. They brought Levine off the bench a couple of games. I'm going to go with the Bulls on the money line, and then I'm going to go Zach LaVine over 25.5 points plus rebounds. He's got to 38 the last game. Listen, there's no stoppers on Golden State. And I just think the Bulls are playing better, and LaVine last game went back to the starting lineup. Heavy minutes, you're right with him and DeRozan. I think DeRozan can get to 20. I think LaVine can get to 20 and get like 5-6 rebounds and get there. Zach LaVine over 25.5 points. Bulls on the money line.
All right, there we go. A little bit of Chicago Bulls tonight there. We'll see if LaVine steps up. And then I think, JY, the last play would be the Clippers and their matchup against Memphis tonight. What are you looking for in this game?
Listen, Kevin, I got to say this. I think the Clippers are the best team in the West right now. If Kawhi can play like this and not get hurt, which that's what I just knocked on people if you can't know. If Kawhi can stay healthy and bring it on the defensive end of the floor, he's bringing it offensively. I think they're the best team in the West. I really do. But when you're looking at the spot, Memphis is cooked. I mean, they're poor offense. They're poor in offense. Clippers clamped down defensively. 6 of the last 8 wins for the Clippers has been by 9+ points. They go into Memphis. They beat them down. Give me the Clippers minus 8.5 on the road.
So that's fine. And Memphis at some point will have their card pulled because they've been winning a couple games in a row. But JY, we're really going to do this again? Are we really going to do this again? The Clippers.
You won the last
no, it's not a head-to-head. No, it's not head-to-head. It's not head-to-head. It's not head-to-head. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even remember which head you're referring to that I went on the hook. You know what? I probably want to buy more, honestly. Great job, Ivan. Hold on. We're going to do this Clipper thing again. Joey, rewind the tape. You were 2 months ago freaking out saying that the Clippers should sell the franchise. You're going to buy into the Clippers long term?
Wait. I didn't say, what's long term? Are we talking like the rest of the season?
You said they're the best team in the West. You're going to put a future on them? You're going to bet this team to win the Western Conference?
Please, pull up the odds. What are they, 11-1? That's a value play for me. Hey, think about this. Do you think that they could beat Phoenix in the Western Conference? Yes. Oklahoma City? Yes. Minnesota's got to prove it. Lakers? Yes. Dallas? Yes. I think this team is heading to the Western Conference Finals, depending on the matchup. I'm telling you, I am.
So let me ask you this.
The Clippers.
This is great. I know. And you're all in on Purdue, too. Let me tell you this. 1 verse 16. I can't wait for the game. I heard it. I tuned in. Didn't sneak that one by me, pal. Yeah, I know. Listen, you make that Clipper bet, okay? Just know this. When you go in and lose that bet, and you tell the excuse of, well, Kawhi got hurt, it was a good bet, you tell that on every other show but this one, okay? Because everyone else will lap that up. Oh, you're so right, Coach. You're so right. And Kawhi got injured. We didn't know this could happen.
Hey,
go ahead, 5-1 to win the West, JY.
Hey, listen. Honestly,
my voice is healed magically. I'm healthier than Kawhi all of a sudden.
Do you know what comes on? Kevin doesn't cough anymore. As soon as I get off the air after the end of the segment, he'll be coughing. He'll need some Robitussin.
Next segment, I'm cooked.
But listen, if the Clippers are healthy, do you think they're actually the best team in the Western Conference?
I think, I told you this, I think, in the offseason, maybe when we were doing BATR, that if they would have got Harden preseason, I would have been interested in betting them to have the best record in the league. Because that's a regular season bet where all the all-stars and talents can thrive. But I like JY. I'm not going to be rude. I was about to be rude. I didn't say that. All right, I thought of it. I didn't say it. JY, am aware that every single year the Clippers get in the playoffs, and then eventually Kawhi's gone. So we can't keep betting the Clippers on if they stay healthy when you know they aren't going to stay healthy.
Hey, listen, I don't know. Maybe I've been hanging out with Stephen A. Smith and I talked to my pastor and I come around. I've come around on the Clippers. I believe. Listen, Pete, he's playing back-to-backs. Playing 3 out of 4 nights.
Yeah. Playoff P. You know what?
Playoff P is here. Harden is looking good. Ivica Zubac still sucks. That's all right. But then you got our guy. Yeah, listen. Got Tyronn Lue, one of the best coaches in the league. I'm telling you, Minnesota, play great. Not ready. Oklahoma City, not ready. New Orleans, not ready. Lakers, are they even going to make it?
What happened? What happened to preseason Lakers stuff? That's done?
Hey, listen, I'm going on record right now. I'm putting in myself candidate to be the new Lakers head coach. Me and K-Dub are taking over the Lakers. Oh, come on, let's be on K-Dub.
No.
What are we doing here?
You can go be Ty Lue's assistant, okay? You can go be Ty Lue's assistant, figure out Kawhi's playing schedule, figure out Harden's playing schedule, you can go do Paul George's podcast. That'd be a great time. Me and LeBron will figure out the roster. We had a couple clutch clients. See you, JY. I'll be coughing next segment, no doubt.
Quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
favorite. I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Back right here on Game Time Decisions. Appreciate Coach James Young stopping by, who left our show with a 5-1 Clippers to win the West ticket. I don't even know if he didn't look around because that's just kind of what happens. I'm just going to do a quick check at the other primary and see. 475. All right. There you go. 5-1 J-Wise on the Clippers. Look, they are very talented. And Kawhi last year in a series against the Suns completely outplayed Durant. And then couldn't hold up. I've been saying the same thing for a long time now. Kawhi, who will feature in the Davis Maddox Same Game Parlay, so the big Kawhi show. Kawhi's rest frequency has never bothered me. Because I don't think he is healthy enough to go out there and play consistent back-to-backs. And I think it is foolish and stubborn that he tries to work against it. All that rest he had in Toronto, and he still barely crossed the finish line in that series against Golden State with the Toronto Raptors. And by the time he made it to the Clippers, the reality is he doesn't have it in him anymore to go the full way. He is supremely talented. But just know that your best-case scenario is in the Western Conference Finals, you're rooting on Harden and Paul George to finish the job. That's your best-case scenario. You won't be happy about that if that's what you end up with. You'll talk yourself into it, but that's not what you're betting on. You're betting on if we turn the NBA into 2K and you can shut off injuries. You can't. You just can't. But 5-1, they're playing great. Have fun. My favorite bet in the NBA tonight is Paolo Banchero, 2+ made threes. There's a lot of great options on this NBA card. We have 6 picks. We will reset that for you before any of the big stuff tips. but everything's at 7:30 or later, so we got plenty of time. But Banchero has taken at least 4 threes in 8 consecutive games, 15 out of the 21 games with at least 4 attempts. He's made that, and he's averaging 6.5 per game. NFL playoff props and futures are next in less than a minute. Back right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh with you on a Friday night. It's game time decisions. We're going to send it to Davis Maddock quickly, get a same-game parlay, and then come back and do the NFL's futures market. But some Clippers-Grizzlies SGP action for you here from Davis Maddock.
All right, guys, we are back for another same-game parlay over on the FanDuel Sportsbook before a big weekend of super wild card action in the NFL. We are going to take a look at the NBA tonight with the Los Angeles Clippers, who are traveling to play against honestly, the team that's got to be the most depressed in the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies. They get Ja Morant back from suspension. He immediately is out for the season with a labrum tear. Marcus Smart is going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. Just really not much to play for there. So, of course, we are going to be taking the Clippers -8 on the spread to begin this same game parlay. We are also going to take the over on 227. I think we could see the Clippers get to, 130, 135, 140 here. No problem. They are coming off back-to-back games, playing very well on offense. They've been over 130 twice in their last 5 games. So I feel pretty good about that there. And then, of course, we are going to correlate that over with Kawhi Leonard. We're going to take him to score 25 or more points. Over his last couple games, he is actually averaging more than that. He is averaging 24 points on the season. His minutes have been extended. Probably the most surprising thing about Kawhi's season is he is routinely getting to 38, 39, 40 minutes. So that 3-leg same-game parlay is going to give us plus 431 odds. Clippers -8, over 227, and Kawhi Leonard to score 25 or more points in this game. Good luck tonight, everybody.
All right, appreciate the breakdown there from Davis Maddock. We'll bring our radio audience in on a Friday night. Kevin Walsh with you at Sirius XM Channel 159, all across the SportsGrid network. So I want to do NFL playoff futures before everything gets underway. Here is the preseason stuff that made it in. We actually did well here in just kind of getting teams to the dance. We had a Falcons 25-1. I don't even remember, to be honest with you, the number because it lost to win the NFC. It was the same idea on the Packers and the Browns. If they win their division, we'd be getting incredible numbers. But even in the playoffs, we'd be in the dance. The Packers' number is actually further back because they ended up in the 7th seed. They're playing a Dallas team that's been so dominant at home. I think that number is now about 40-1. But Green Bay's in the dance. That's all I can take. There will be no hedge on that. If they stun the Cowboys, amazing, and then we'll think about it. The Browns at 20-1 are now down to 12-1, favored on the road against the Texans. I'm also going to let that go, and we'll then figure it out with kind of how the matchups break out for them in round 2. Buffalo was the preseason Super Bowl pick at plus 900. That number is now plus 650. To some degree, I do wonder if I, by being involved preseason, prevented myself from ever jumping in season. The thing is, I lost a lot of confidence in this team in season because of the defensive side of the football. But I have to give this team some credit. Switching over to Joe Brady, it feels like that has been beneficial for their offense. And give McDermott some credit. He's found ways with this defense as the season is carried on. At 9-1, I like the position the Buffalo Bills are in. And that then brings me to the Super Bowl MVP market. That's where you start to see kind of some of the correlated stuff. The thing I feel best about is the Buffalo Bills. I do believe Buffalo is going to win the AFC. So I'm taking a chance on a 150-1 shot on James Cook to win Super Bowl MVP. This is moving a little bit 110-1 or 100-1. It's still obviously a huge number. Here's why. 4 big Bills wins this year. Miami twice, the Chiefs and the Cowboys. Josh wins the MVP in both Miami games, no doubt, especially the first one, 5 total touchdowns, threw for over 300 yards. James Cook wins it against the Cowboys, no debate. I also think he wins it against Kansas City. If you go back, over 130 yards of total offense for James Cook in that game and caught the lone passing touchdown that was thrown by Josh Allen in that game, that's 50-50. And again, if the Bills get there, which I think they can, what's this James Cook number going to be? 20-1, give or take? 151, it's worth a shot. The bigger bet I'm making in the Super Bowl MVP market is Brock Purdy. I guess I can't quit Brock Purdy. That's what it comes down to. If you look this season, when the Niners had these step-up games and they won them, Brock Purdy handled their business. People will point to what happened against the Ravens. I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but that doesn't hold as much weight for me. Because Brock Purdy and the Niners lost that game. So in a loss, that he's not winning Super Bowl MVP, but neither is McCaffrey or Debo or Kittle or Ayuk or all these other people that teams are going to bet. Brock Purdy is more than double the price of the San Francisco 49ers to win the Super Bowl. Compare this to other quarterbacks. Josh Allen plus 750, the Buffalo Bills plus 650. Mahomes is 11-1, the Chiefs are 10-1. The gap here, the Ravens are plus 320, Lamar is plus 380. Here's the reality. In the 12 games that Brock Purdy won this year, 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Added 2 more rushing touchdowns, threw for over 270 yards per game, and completed 72.5% of his passes. That's what you get from Brock Purdy in wins. About 3 passing touchdowns, 270 yards, and a clean game, no turnovers. McCaffrey in those 12 wins, 15 total touchdowns and 135.5 of total yards, rushing and receiving. I'm not saying it's not amazing, but he doesn't outplay Brock Purdy in those games because Brock Purdy's the quarterback. So at plus 450, a Niners team that I do think has a good pathway to get there is absolutely worth a play for me. The other approach I am taking, though, is the highest scoring team market. If the Niners are going to lose, I think you're looking at Detroit or Dallas. I don't really think Philly has the juice to get through this. And what happens is if Detroit or Dallas makes it to the Super Bowl, they will end up the highest scoring team. Pardon me. 4-1 on Dallas, 9-1 on Detroit. The NFC has a major advantage in this way with the weather. Buffalo's the favorite. Buffalo's team total this week is a touchdown less, if not more, than Dallas and Detroit because of the weather. And the Buffalo weather is supposed to be bad the following week. Detroit and Dallas are supposed to go head-to-head. And I know you're saying, well, you're going to get eliminated. That's fine. Because the big benefit here is, and let's just use Dallas, okay? Dallas gets the NFC Championship game, plays the Niners. The Niners are capped at 3 games. So if Dallas has a big offensive performance against Green Bay, which I think they could have, and against Detroit, they just need to stay within the range of the Niners and be fine. So I really think there's a lot of value on Detroit, and I think the Cowboys should be the favorite in that market, and I think Detroit, who I do like in their game against the Rams, is absolutely worthwhile there at 9-1. I'm going to just read these off for you. These are playoff-long props. I will break these down a little bit more when Dave Sharapan and Joe Lisi stop by. Lamar Jackson under 117.5 rushing yards for the whole postseason. Christian McCaffrey over 2.5 rushing touchdowns for the whole postseason. Pat Mahomes rushing yards over 40.5 for the whole postseason. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 142.5 receiving yards in this postseason. Again, there's a lot of kind of reasoning behind those, but those are some of the numbers that I'm on heading in to the NFL playoffs. Joe Madden is up next.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6th and the 7th seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh with you. It's a Friday night. Game Time Decisions. Now joined by Joe Madden. Joe, how are you on the cusp of the NFL playoffs? I know there's some ice tonight we'll get to as well.
I'm super excited. I can't believe how cold it is up here in Calgary, though, Kevin. We're minus 34-ish right now before wind chill. So when you convert that to Fahrenheit from Celsius, it's pretty much the same. Minus 28, I think it is.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not ideal. Maybe they'll move the Kansas City game there. But what's the difference? Let's just start here with the NHL, Joe, and then we'll go over to some of the NFL action here. Stars, Preds, Nashville, the road dog here against Dallas. What are you looking for in this game tonight?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. These teams did just play, and they played twice already this season. We did see the Predators win that last matchup, and the Stars won the one before. Battle of the Central here. I do think the Predators have enough coming out of this one to take that first period. I'm going to take them on the puck line in the first period, laying the half a goal. I love them in that situation, as well as the money line. I think the money line's really solid because it's not reverse puck line. I guess you're looking at the Preds because they were the dog coming into this one. So if this one ends 0-0 in that first period, you are getting your money back on that money line. I also like the under 1.5 in the first period here. And that's a lot to ask when you're looking for the Predators to get a goal in the under 1.5. But that under 1.5 has been cashing in their last 5 matchups versus each other. So that is my favorite bet. Then money line second, then reverse puck line here for the Preds in the first period, Kevin.
All right, not bad there. Looking for some plus money value, which is always nice. And then are you going to be involved at all with this game between the Wild and the Flyers? This game right now, straight pick, minus 110 either direction.
Yeah, absolutely. These two teams are kind of trending in opposite directions right now. The Philadelphia Flyers are completely clicking offensively, and the Minnesota Wild just haven't been. This team is so banged up. And with Kaprizov out of the lineup, this team can just not score. I'm looking at the Wild's team total. I'm taking it to the under. That number coming in at 2.5 plus money to the under 2.5. But like I said, Kaprizov off the ice, this team hasn't been putting the puck in the back of the net. They have scored under 2.5 goals in 6 of their last 7 games, and now they have to face the Flyers, who have the second best kill in the league. Solid defense, and then Carter Hart in goal. I love what we've seen out of Carter Hart so far this season. His numbers are really strong. He's got a 2.69 goals against average, a save percentage of .911. Now, he hasn't had the best numbers versus the Wild, but I do expect him to really step up in front of, behind the strong defense here of the Flyers. So this should be an interesting one, Kevin.
I want to ask you before we get off of the hockey quickly, Joe, the Connor Bedard injury that just popped up there. And I know the Blackhawks aren't great, but the idea around Bedard is he is amazing and therefore is going to win the Calder Trophy. Using FanDuel here, he's minus 182 to win it. They're hanging the field at plus 142. If you kind of look around, you can find Luke Hughes 4-1, Brock Faber plus 550, and 8-1 out there on Adam Fantilli, and then everybody else is 17-1 or longer. Do you still think that as long as Bedard gets back out there, he will be fine, or is there some value now with the Calder Trophy?
There absolutely is value out there, and especially you mentioned Luke Hughes. You look at Luke Hughes out there for the New Jersey Devils. He's an offensive defenseman. He's able to make an impact in those games. Now, he doesn't get all the limelight because his brother Jack is so powerful, but Luke Hughes, definitely someone not to not count out. Here for Connor Bedard, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks with that fractured jaw that he did require surgery on. I think he's just out too long, and I do look at him to come back a little bit timid. You look at that hit that he took in that game, fracturing his jaw in his rookie season. I think it's going to be hard on this kid mentally. I don't think he ends up taking it. So I'd look at Luke Hughes, and I would look at someone else outside of it as well.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing, right? I mean, 6 to 8 weeks is a long time. We come back. I know they play, the whole month of March and a chunk of April. But if he is out all of January, most of February there, I guess it really is going to be dependent on who steps up. I would think, and again, maybe you can kind of find a specific player, but at plus 142, you have the field, and you can just work that number off of Connor Bedard's price, which is very interesting. Joe, getting into some of the NFL action here. Yeah. Kansas City playing. You mentioned very cold where you are. It's very cold in Kansas City in their game against the Miami Dolphins. I wonder if both teams wish the Dolphins were home for this one. Where are you finding some value heading into the game?
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a freezing game, and that's definitely against Miami here. Miami struggles in those cold weather games, going 0-10 in their last 10 games below 40 degrees. So this is going to be an obstacle for them versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we look back at the last game. I believe it was in Germany when these two teams did play. The Kansas City Chiefs put up all of their points in that first half, and we know the struggles they've had in the second half of games. I'm still not sold on this team offensively. So what I'm going to look at is the first half. I do expect the Kansas City Chiefs to come out with a great plan. We know how strong Andy Reid is at scripting that first half. I think they come out, make some great plays, cover the 2.5 in the first half. And I'm going to look at Travis Kelce for the anytime touchdown. We're getting value on him for the anytime touchdown. He's played in 14 playoff games, and he has 16 touchdowns. I couldn't believe this was plus 115 for him for the anytime touchdown. I don't think Miami can pull off the huge upset here, but I'm not sold on Kansas City in the second half. So first half for me here, Kevin.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Joe. I do, because the world where Miami's up at the break, and it's just crazy to say about Mahomes at home in the playoffs, but I don't know how tempted I would be to jump on the Chiefs. It's probably early or it's not. Let's move over to Buffalo and Pittsburgh. Again, more atrocious weather expected here. What do you expect in that game against Mason Rudolph and the Steelers?
Okay, firstly, who is really a believer in Mason Rudolph? I am completely not. Maybe his mother is out here, but I don't believe in him to be able to get the job done, especially in this cold weather. You look at him trying to run this offense here. This hasn't been a Pittsburgh Steelers offense that we've been able to trust in a lot. And I think with him, even though he's shown glimpses in the last couple of games, I can't get behind him. So I do think it's the Buffalo Bills here. The last time the Buffalo Bills were a double-digit favorite was versus the Steelers team, and they destroyed them, winning that one 38-3. I do think we're in for a similar situation in this one where the Bills come out and they get that cover. I think Josh Allen keeps the ball in his hands a lot. Going to take Josh Allen over 38.5 rushing yards as well for that anytime touchdown. TJ Watt out of this lineup is just too much here for me to take the Steelers plus any points.
Yeah, I mean, they're atrocious when he's not around. They're not all that great when he is around, Joe. I totally get what you're looking for there. And then on Sunday, in the afternoon slate, we've got Green Bay and their matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. How much of a chance are you giving the Packers?
You know what? I'm giving them a huge chance here. I love what we've seen out of Jordan Love this season. I didn't buy in on him. I thought he rode the bench for way too long, but he came out and completely proved me wrong this season. I'm going to take him for over his passing yards in this game. I think they're playing from behind. We know the Dallas Cowboys are able to put up those points. I do think they cover this spread. I'm taking them plus the 7, plus the 7.5, whatever you can get out there. And I'm also going to sprinkle on that money line. I think this could be the upset of the weekend for the Packers to come in and knock off the Cowboys, who are undefeated at home this season. It would be mind-blowing. I think we have one mind-blowing game this weekend, and this is it, Kevin, for me.
It's funny, Joe, because that is where I was at for a lot of this week. And then I talked to someone yesterday who probably got a little too in my head about how this game plays out. And it's either my initial read will be right or my second read will be right. So it'll work out. The game will be great for props. Joe, best of luck. Appreciate it. As always, I know we'll talk to you for Monday Night Football. Bucks Eagles coming up next year is Joe Lisi on Game Time Decisions.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid, Kevin Walsh, it's Game Time Decisions. 7:30 NBA tonight, Sixers-Kings. We're on the Sixers money line. This line looks like, is it flipping? Let's get a double check here on the latest number. Because I just saw, there's no way Sacramento moved to the favorite. Nah, it's just dropping a little bit. Oh, no, yeah, Sacramento's the favorite. Good for them. I'm not worried about it. I trust Philly at home tonight. I think it's a good spot for them to bounce back and avoid what would be a fourth consecutive loss. And then we're on an over in Pacers-Hawks. That number dropping a little bit, so some lines working against us. I'm not going to reinvest, but I'm on the 251.5 over tonight, despite the Tyrese Halliburton absence for Indiana. Joining me now is Joe Lisi, sneaky great basketball handicapper. How are you, Joe?
Big ball game in Chicago. We got Golden State and the Bulls. 3-point spread. Keep an eye out for that Warrior team, huh? Stephen Curry came out cold last week.
Oh, wow. Big ball. So what do you got? Steph, 5+ threes, 35 points?
Now, I will say, you know, we talked throughout the week, and I was on Steph in the last ball game he played, what was it, like 6 or 7 threes. If he plays is he playing in this game tonight against the Bulls?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, then, you know what? I think on the road he's good for 5 or 6 threes. That would be my bet tonight.
All right, there you go. Is the sizzle play allowed to be a prop? Sizzle play, Steph Curry overmade threes?
We can. I'll text you a little bit later. I haven't really looked at the board yet. You called me on a gym session, so I'm just locked in.
Come on. You're running up the score with the gym. Who are you trying to impress? Cut it out.
Saturday night. Tempo.
Oh, a lot of options. All right, here we go. All right. Talk to me with this. Everybody right now is very, very concerned about the weather. Everywhere. I hear there's people worried about weather in Dallas. It's games indoors. How do you feel right now about weather weekend wild card style?
I really don't care. I go back to the Giant Green Bay game. That was a 23-20 game. I believe that stuck over the total back in the day about 15 years ago. It doesn't bother me one bit. Here, if it's so cold in Kansas City, then, they should smash this total down to 34. The fact that it's in the mid-40s and it's only 4 points off the premium, I don't care. I think Pat Mahomes throws for 300+. I think we see Chiefs and Dolphins matriculating down the sidelines, old school. I'm going to alter this game into the 50s, and I don't care. That's the way I
don't
feel.
use matriculate. You know what? Come on, you can't with the matriculate.
All right, how about blast? Chunk plays. I just all I want to see is chunk plays. First of all, Miami's not going to want to tackle in the bitter cold, right? So who says Pacheco and all those receivers don't break free on 30, 40-yard plays?
Plus 650, Dolphins Chiefs, highest scoring game of the weekend.
That's not enough for me. For that,
no.
For all the negativity surrounding this
How
game.
about Steelers Bills, 31-1?
Oh, Kevin. 31-1?
It's possible.
Ooh, you could get me in on both of those games. Now, that's another thing, Kev. No offense, okay? Hang on. So cold,
wait a minute.
right? I know our good friend Donnie Wrightside has got the Doppler.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the antenna with the tin can in the back
Let me
of the
tell
house,
you.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it only
Wheel.
plus 650 this week for a higher scoring game? It should be flipped.
Yeah.
It should be 31-1. I mean, if it's going to be so cold and come on, no sense. No shot this game goes under. I'm alternating to the fifth. 63 is the size I'm going.
Donnie is convinced that Mahomes and Josh Allen and Tua, none of these guys will throw a pass the whole weekend. Listen, I'll tell this to people right now. Saturday and Sunday, plenty argument guaranteed on the Pro Football Today desk. We'll see if Lisi's willing. We'll see if Lisi's willing to get into the foxhole with me. It's usually me picking a fight with one out of the two. Donnie today told me he told me he makes it Bills -2.5 with all this weather. That's what he says.
Come on. Here's the thing. And Carver's my partner on the radio, right? He's a big Bills fan.
Yeah.
Right? I told him, and this might be a bad thing, Billy Club special. Mason Rudolph.
Oh, no, here we go.
They're not going anywhere. You know where Mason Rudolph is. Where's he going?
Mm-hmm.
He's not Jalen Hurts. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Josh Allen. He's going to be in the pocket. If they throw, they're going to smash it. He's not going to throw over that defense in the cold weather. I don't think Najee Harris has a $122 like he did against the second and third teamers of Baltimore. I know they won last week, and we watched that ball game play out. This is a different animal. I do like Buffalo in the ball game. I think it resembles the ball game against Dallas. I do feel, though, that it sneaks over 33.5. Come on. I mean, come on. Buffalo can get that on their own.
Bills are 13-1 to be the highest scoring team this weekend. Just something that I noticed out there in the market. Now, talk to me with this. We'll have some time to do this tomorrow, Joe. But the futures market, right? You've kind of been peppering shots. Where do you sit right now, futures-wise, heading into Saturday?
I have a ticket on the Browns, 20-1 to win the AFC. That's the only exposure I have in terms of the AFC. I do have a parlay with Donovan Edwards. I put in Buffalo and the Eagles just as a flyer on both conferences. I got the Bills before they played Miami, so I put that in there, or maybe it was after. I don't even remember. But that's what I have in terms of the AFC side. The NFC side, I have a straight ticket on Green Bay at 35-1 and LA at 45-1 to win the conference. But I will be betting the Rams. But as a security blanket, I might take a shot plus 9-1 on the Detroit Lions to win the conference.
I've been interested in Detroit, so can I get you on? Now, see, here's the thing. I think some of the weather stuff's been overblown a little bit, Joe. But I took a piece of Detroit and Dallas to be the highest scoring teams throughout the postseason because those teams do have the ability to be indoors. And that can be the difference maker, right? Where maybe, let's just say you and I in the weather games split. And we might end up on the same side, right? Let's just say this Kansas City game goes great. Boom. 53 total points, right? Well, that's what the total is in Detroit, right? That's what the total is in Dallas. So I think those teams have a lot of advantages playing indoors and not just playing indoors in this round, right? Dallas is indoors unless they go to San Fran. It's California, okay? I know it can be, cold, but they're in California. Where the AFC is going to be playing all this outdoor cold football there. That's where we'll do this on the show tomorrow, but some of the playoff passing yardage leaders and stuff, Joe, I think the Valley's on the NFC side of the table.
No, it's a great point. Now, and keep in mind the Dallas game against Green Bay, and we talked about it on Pro Football Today, Kevin, that, you look at Jordan Love in November 12th. He's averaging 270 passing yards per game. He's throwing 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. We've seen Aaron Jones come on in back-to-back weeks against Carolina and last week against Chicago, a major factor in regards to the run game. But what about the short to intermediate passing game? And it doesn't even matter who you roll out there from a wide receiver perspective. Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, he's hitting them all. Tucker Graham. So, the fact that Jordan Love is distributing the football in the passing game and they push tempo, Dak's got to match that, right? You can't just go vanilla and run Tony Pollard. So That's a pretty good look. I do think out of both of those games, if we're talking Dallas and we're talking Detroit, I do lean to the Green Bay game as the over. I do feel that Detroit and even LA want to establish a run, maybe just a little bit more, at least in that game. So I lean to the under in terms of Detroit and LA.
There is one market I wanted to let you know about. I know where you usually like to do your shopping. I don't know if you've heard about this, though. On DraftKings, they're posting the anytime touchdown score market for the Super Bowl. And if you bet it today, the bet counts. So, for example, if you right now took Cooper Kupp, let's see where he's priced. Cooper Kupp is 45-1 anytime touchdown score in the Super Bowl.
Okay, so they got to get there, though, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Okay.
But
right. He's never going to be
the bet
right.
stand.
They get there, you know he's going to be like, what, minus 130 to score. Oh,
right.
Why'd you do that? Why'd you tell
Because I just want to I like to let you know what's there. Because you know what it is, too? I can't ask you about the straight bets because then I know it's not enough, so I have to do that. Dalton Kincaid. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me find your guy. Hold on. Dawson Knox, 35-1. 35-1.
Oh, that's a juicy price. That's juicy. You see, because the book feels that Buffalo's going to be there potentially, so that's why he's got a cheaper price than Cooper Kupp. If you could get what's Malik Heath?
Go ahead.
That's a Malik Heath Green Bay. Give me Malik Heath.
160-1.
What is he?
160-1.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. Little sprinkle. Can I get you on this?
One more. Where's this Bo Melton? He's been hot with Jordan Love. Bo Melton.
150-1. 150-1. A lot of good numbers. A lot of good. Hold on. Let's find one more guy for you. Where's you know what? Hold on. Let's just find out. Jordan Love is 60-1. Not enough. Not enough.
All right. Let's go with this. What about Blake Bell for Kansas City?
No, you're running up the score. Yeah. Blake Bell. Where is he? I don't even see him.
Oh.
All right, we'll figure it out, Joe. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Great stuff. All right, we'll be right back.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's all a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
A lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, we're right back here. It's Game Time Decisions. Kevin Walsh, Dave Sharapan, Consig. We don't have a lot of time. We have a lot to get to, but how are you?
Good, thank you. Following Lisi, and then during the break, he says the Steelers have no shot. I just want to make sure the Steelers have no shot. Get it on tape. Lisi said it. I'll repeat it. It may be the last time I'm wearing the Steelers stuff all season. So, boom, go. Whatever you got, fire away. We got 12 minutes. Stay with us. Come on, let's go.
See, now I'm getting lost. Donnie said they should make the game 2.5 with the weather. I mean, it's going to be a
2.5.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he's serious though.
Donnie's been getting up early in the morning for months now. I mean, he's a little bit out of it. 2.5. Come on, Donnie. We're going to go broke if we get 2.5. Come on, can't make it 2.5.
Yeah, listen, I don't know. He might be hot on Pittsburgh. All right. I want to start one thing in the NBA, and then we're going to do a lot of football.
Yes.
Hawks Pacers.
Yep.
I don't know if you've been hearing people talk about this total.
Yeah.
But these teams played within 2 weeks. The total was 10 points higher. The same thing with the Wizards game the Pacers played. Now, it was a bang under, no doubt. So maybe I'm a fool, and I'm going to find out tonight, but I had to come back to it. I refuse to believe that any single player is worth 10 points to a total. But that's how you get – we go from 261.5 to 251.5. All that's different, and Halliburton is gone. A player can't be worth 10 to a total. He can't be, Dave.
No, but the way they play can, and they went off market to put that total 262. So that number was more off than this number. And results notwithstanding and a player being out, I agree with you. I don't think Michael Jordan is worth 10 points. And for those of you that don't know who Michael Jordan is, Google him. But you're right. It's too much. It might be an over-adjustment. Look, the opener here in Vegas was 257. You know, I mean, they put that number up for a reason. And it got bet down. 3 limit plays most likely to get us to the current number of 252. It makes sense to play the under. But then you look at the numbers with the Pacers and the Hawks, and you go, this got to be an over. So I understand the move. I understand people going on it. The game has juice, K-Dub. I know you've got juice left for another 20 minutes with the voice. Makes sense to play the over there, too.
All right, so I am on the over in that game. We'll see, right? But I did it against the Wizards. I couldn't jump ship with the Hawks. If the Pacers tonight were playing Minnesota, I didn't need to be involved, right? Correct. But we ran back another 250, so it was all there. All right, where do I want to start? I'm going to start with the 4 picks that I haven't been able to break down to people, but these are the type of markets, Consig, that you and I have been able to talk about, and you always tell people 10 years ago, 5 years ago, this stuff didn't exist. I'll throw one at you that I think you'll like. Mahomes, over 40.5 rushing yards for the entire playoffs. On this season, Mahomes is averaging over 27.5 rushing yards, or over 24.5 rushing yards per game, averages over 27 rushing yards per game in his playoff career, had 24 in the first meeting earlier against Miami this season. I think there's a chance he gets 41 in the first game. I think this is absolutely locked in. If they beat Miami, minus 230 to beat Miami, minus 115 on the prop. Mahomes over rushing yards, 40.5 for the whole postseason.
If you think they're going to win Saturday night, that's a good bet. Because like you said, you can win it and just win it in that game. He breaks off a long run or two, you're good. So you don't got to worry about it. The only reason you wouldn't bet this is if you like Miami to win the game, because they don't get another game. Averages 24, 24 and 24 is 48. Now they got to go most likely to Buffalo if they win.
Mm-hmm.
Does Buffalo limit his rushing yards? Probably not. I don't know. That's
eight career
The
games.
first thing I thought was, what's the juice? And immediately in my head, I thought it was going to be minus 130. When you said 115, okay, that's number one. That's good.
Okay, that's Mahomes. I will. Here's the last line of my notes on that. This might be stupid since I don't like the Chiefs. It's my last note, but I thought the number was. Too good. Being honest, here's one that I am very prepared to look stupid on, but I couldn't pass it up. Lamar under 117.5 rushing yards. He's played 4 career playoff games. Twice he has ran for $130 plus in a single game. So that's the bad. But this is the fewest rushing yards per game Lamar has ever averaged as a starter in his entire career. It's a new offense. And if you look this season against AFC playoff teams, he's averaging 37.2 rushing yards per game. That's Pittsburgh, that's Cleveland twice, that's Miami, that's Houston. These are teams that he's likely to see in his round one, the overall round 2. But again, at 117.5, 40 yards per game, that's if he gets to the Super Bowl. I don't think the Ravens are actually going to get there. I think he may only have 2 games to hit this consig.
Well, if you think that's a dump all in under, because I don't know it depends on the matchup right in the Super Bowl. He's not going to get that. Very unlikely to get that. Not impossible, but very unlikely to get that in 2 games. So you're live to the Super Bowl. There will be alt totals. There will be alt rushing yards. There will be so many things to help you accentuate your position, increase your middle, or just totally dump the position if you think it's a bad matchup and the Ravens are he's going to, run wild and win the MVP. So under that, again, I'm not just telling you because we're doing the show together.
I know.
That one sounds good.
Okay, 2 more. Yep. McCaffrey over 2.5 rushing touchdowns. It's plus 115. The juice is very important. I do wish this was total touchdowns, but then this juice wouldn't be what it is. I would still actually prefer it to their conference price. He has a game this year with 2 rushing touchdowns and another game with 3. I'm not betting this because I think he can hit it once. I'd be better off betting his 2+. But I do think there's a chance that McCaffrey does hit this without playing in the Super Bowl. I think the worst case scenario is he's plus 115 for me to score 2 in the Super Bowl when I could get a better number, but that's what I'm taking on McCaffrey.
Wait, that's total rushing touchdowns in the playoffs for McCaffrey?
Yep.
Well, that seems like the play. Why is this number only 2.5, K-Dub? Like, doesn't he average a touchdown a game rushing? Almost?
So, 14 total rushing touchdowns this season in, I think it's 16 games. Has a rushing touchdown in 5 out of 7 against playoff teams.
I disagree with the number. The number should be higher. I mean, if he's going to play 3 games, let's make the number. 2.5 with the juice would be minus over. It's plus. I'd argue the number should be 3.5 because he can get a game with multiple rushing touchdowns. I think you're live there too. I like that one.
Yeah. All right, last one.
Yep.
Is this my favorite? It might be. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 142.5 receiving yards. In his last 4 games, he averaged 113 receiving yards per game, including a game where he went over this number, believe it or not, in the final game of the season, which Laporta was injured for a lot of, and obviously Laporta is injured, averages almost 83 receiving yards per game. So, against playoff teams, so here's the deal. I think there's a chance he hits this in a complete crazy shootout against the Rams, but I don't see any way he doesn't give me 72 yards a game over 2 as long as the Lions beat the Rams this week. And again, I'm getting much better than what their money line is, about a minus 115 price.
Do you like the Lions this week?
I do like the Lions this week. I do.
I like the Lions this week, too. I had a special BVB hat
ooh, it's
made
nice.
with the Honolulu blue.
Oh, it's real
Look at
nice.
That's
real
fun.
nice.
Yeah, we'll be wearing this all weekend here in Vegas, going around town, seeing some people about some things. I'm all about the Honolulu blue. I'm all about the Lions. I've heard enough. I feel like the Rams are a public dog this week, K-Dub. I think the total in this game, you want to talk about the playoff game with the highest total and the most juice, Sunday Night Football, this one's going to be a monster. I think you got the right guy. Is his health status good? Is he 100%? Can he be knocked out of the game and not play a second game?
Aside from the fact that anyone could be knocked out of a game, you know what I mean? Like, he's not coming in and that's what we're expecting. We're not coming in hobbled.
Okay.
But
all right.
That's where we're at. So those are the 4 that I took. Where do I want to go to next? You know what I'm going to go to? I kind of did the highest scoring team breakdown. You'd love it.
Monday night.
No, I'm doing everything I can to not talk about that. Please, I took 2 Super Bowl MVP futures.
Okay.
Nah, it doesn't matter. Now, one of them is, it's funny, it's 150 to 1, but it's straightforward. It's James Cook. The thing is, like, I'd rather bet James Cook than Stephon Diggs. Like, Stephon Diggs, you go back and look at the game against Miami, the first game that was in Buffalo. Diggs had like $150 and 3 touchdowns, and he would have had no chance to win an MVP of that game because Josh threw 4, ran in another. Remember the game against Dallas? Like, there's a path at 150. I'm in on Buffalo. Here's the one I'm zagging, Consig. I'm zagging on everybody's zig.
I love that.
These Super Bowl MVP numbers, right? Yes. The Niners are plus 210. So what's everybody doing right now? McCaffrey 950, Debo 37, maybe grabbing a George Kittle 120, Fred Warner if you can find it far enough down the board.
Okay.
I took the plus 450 Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy and their wins this season, his touchdown-interception ratio, Dave, 12 wins. What do you think his touchdown-interception ratio is in the 12 games they won?
I'm going to guess he threw about, two touchdowns average a game, probably 3 picks, 14 to 3, something like that?
Yeah. 28 touchdowns, 2 picks in 12 wins.
28 touchdowns to 2 picks?
To 2 picks. Here's the thing, Dave. I don't care about the Ravens game because they lost. Brock Purdy's not winning a Super Bowl MVP in a loss. It doesn't matter.
100%. That doesn't. None of that.
It's still a quarterback award. I'm getting better than double their Super Bowl price on the starting quarterback. I ran back the same thing we did preseason. He was 50 to 1 to win the MVP. Did we win the bet? No. Was it a trash number? Yes. He shouldn't be plus 450.
It's fair. Another one. You got the right number. I mean, what are they, plus 220 to win it right now?
Yes.
About average market price is around 220. Right. It's going down. It's not going up. That's the top.
No.
It ain't going. It ain't getting better. You got to worry about the Debo. Debo? McCaffrey?
But here's the thing. Here's the other thing. At plus 450, we get into that game, you're still going to get 2 to 1 on not a quarterback.
Minimum.
We'll be
get
fine.
higher than that.
Get him to the game. And he's minus 130 to get to the game. Consig, it's been a blast. Don't go anywhere. I got to talk to Dave more during the break.
All right,
we'll be right back. It's your best bet on the way out.
quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid. Closing out Game Time Decisions here on a Friday. Kevin Walsh with you on SportsGrid. Appreciate Dave Sharonpan stopping by. He'll be on In Game Live next, covering you guys for the next 2 hours. Sports Rage as well with Gabriel Morency, Cam Stewart, sending you guys into the weekend. Great coverage again throughout SportsGrid. Appreciate Dave, as well as Joe Lisi, Joe Madden, and Coach James Young, who are all here with us on the grid for tonight's coverage. As we get set to send this off into the night, let's get your best bet, which is an over in Minnesota, Portland at 221. And it has a lot more to do with the Blazers than the Timberwolves. Portland has scored under 85 points in 2 straight games. Those 2 performances are 2 of the 5 times that has happened this season. It's a legendary bounce-back spot. Spurs did it twice. They scored 113-plus in each of the following games. Charlotte scored 99 in their follow-up game, and then the game after that is 113, which is actually even far more applicable to Portland, who has done this in consecutive games, which should be impossible. So maybe tonight, and I know the pathway to losing, is Portland is held to 85 or under 85 again against the best defense in the league. I think Portland bounces back and can get to 110. Why do we play over 221 instead of a Portland team total? Because Minnesota can handle the job here. This Blazers defense is slipping. They're on the second leg of a back-to-back. Gave up well over $130 last night to the Thunder. If Portland can get to 110, which is give or take about where I think they can get, and the only way we lose this total is if the Blazers win this outright as a 16.5-point dog. I don't see that happening.
Give me the over 221. We're rooting in a live over right now in the Pacers-Hawks game, as well as Sixers money line. The rest of the NBA card is Paolo Banchero, 2+ made threes. DeMar DeRozan, 20+ points. And Desmond Bane under 11.5 rebounds plus assists. So all stuff for you to keep your eye on. And then we took a little shot tonight with DePaul. The Blue Demons plus 19.5 against Villanova in some Big East play. I'm Kevin Walsh. That is Game Time Decisions. I will see you tomorrow. Pro Football today, 9 a.m. with Donnie Rightside and Joe Lisi right here on Sports Grid. Best of luck.